What's going on, Facebook? What's up, YouTubes? That's right. It's Billy over there and Bobby right here. It's that time of year, Billy. This is the game that you said that y'all always circled on the calendar, Florida week. How you feeling about this game? What's your initial reaction? How are you feeling about the game? We're 14 and a half point dogs, but let me go back and ask you a different question. What was it like playing Florida back in the day with Steve Spurrier? What was that practice week like?
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, Florida week was always the most intense week. Our coaches were a little bit different when we played Florida. I mean, what it was starting from the basics, going to like the tackling drills and things. For some reason, it always like they was totally different coaches, man. They wasn't the coaches that we played when we played the first two games of the week of the year because, of course, when back then we played, typically like we just did with Georgia State and BYU. We played a cupcake team, and then we have someone that was a competitor type team. This is the first year ever I think that I can think of that Tennessee had three games before they played Florida without an off week because we always have that off week before we play the Gators. And it's something that I didn't like. I mean, I don't know if the coaches liked it or whatever because we had to tap 2 weeks before we played the Gators. And I always thought that was something that kind of, it made us lazy. It made us lazy when waiting to be able to play another team, and we're beating up each other like we were in two a days, and it was just always very tough 2 weeks of practice. The coaches were different. They didn't care who you were, and almost as if they was kind of like how Belichick was over there. They didn't care if you were the starter or backup. They were in your AW, 24/7.
Do you think maybe the reason why they won so much against us is, like you mentioned, Belichick, is they deflated the balls? Do you think that could explain it?
Well, I can tell you a lot of things that could explain this, some of the games they beat us, man. I mean, I would say this: there was only one year that I think that Florida actually beat us legit, and that was '96. That team they had in '96 was a hell of a team, man. And they was great on offense, defense, every position. They was sound, but I still think we had a better team. But it was to me, it came down to what I hate to say it, but it was coaching, man. We did everything we could to beat those guys. Yes, they got a lot of breaks against us with a lot of turnovers, and that's what the game is about. The team that make the fewest mistakes will win, and that's what happened every season. That they actually beat us. So, yes, it is what it is.
It's funny you bring up 96. I should have known we were going to lose that game. I rented an airplane
Oh God.
back in '96. I'm flying from Florida up to Knoxville, and we landed in Lagrange, Georgia, to get some fuel and grab a bite to eat, and had a little trouble with the airplane. I should have known right then we were in trouble. Had to rent another airplane to fly on into Knoxville. It was a fiasco. So that whole trip in '98 started out bad, and it cost Bobby a lot of money to go up there and just come out of there just upset. I really thought that was going to be our year. I just knew we had the horses, but it didn't turn out that way. I'll never forget that game. That was a bad weekend all the way around. But I got a question. Do you think a lot of us, I don't know if this is just how the fans feel, but it just seems like Florida's just got the mojo. It's like a voodoo doctor has doctored it up. And does that affect the team? Is there a such thing as an opponent getting in your head year in and year out, and once it starts the ball rolling, you just can't get it out of your head, or is that just a myth?
Bobby, that's a myth, man. I mean, there's not one player or one team in the world that expect to lose when they get on that field. You know, Florida, yes, they had great teams. The swamp is, it is a lot of how they call it, the Gator magic in the swamp. There is that, and that Gator magic is those guys that looks like zebras out there. Um, that has been a problem with quite a few losses that we had. Going back to, I keep forgetting the year where they threw a pass in the end zone and he barely caught it and it went out and they
Yep.
automatically called that a touchdown. I'm like, come on, man. There's times where I remember where they called a huge pass interference against Terry Fair when the arm that they said he held the guy with, he was crippled. He couldn't even move the arm. He had the arm tied down. So how he's gonna have him? There's so many times where Florida has always got the magic. But as far as the mojo or getting into the team or players' head, that no, man. We expect to whip Florida's ass every time we get out there on the field. I don't care who it is. I don't care if we underdogs by 80 points. I refuse to believe that the Gators could beat us back then. Even though we lost against them, but no. Even this weekend, those kids expect to win. It doesn't matter what that spread is. I don't even think they know what the spread is. Heck, I didn't know what spreads was when I played football. And I just found out about spreads just about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know they put these things on there. They have this in high school, Bobby. I didn't know that. And I'm like, wow. And now that I know about it, I'm like, wow, who knows this stuff? I wish I had this almanac to get these wins. But no, that's a myth, Bob. Big myth, man.
Well, you know what I'm worried about, probably more than anything, is that Florida's going to come out slinging it. This quarterback, Trask or whatever his name is, that filled in for Felipe. I don't know if Emory Jones is going to play any of this game or not, but they're going to be slinging it. And Trask has some wheels, and I just don't think we match up well with the running quarterback. And I'm afraid it seems like every time we play Florida, they'll jump out on us, or we'll get a little bit of a lead, and we can't. Something bad starts happening, and the dam breaks. Now, there's been a few years where that hadn't happened. At one year under Butch Jones, when we beat the Gators, we just kept throwing it to Cole to it. And that '98 season that you played in, Fred White had a sack early. You had Al Wilson causing a fumble that you recovered 30 yards downfield. It seemed like every time Florida was going to get something going, we would do something to thwart it. I'll never forget Dion Grant. Looks like he reached his hand up 14 feet in the air for that interception. And I was at that game and just remember the anxiety that whole game. I was anxious and nervous all the way up until you heard John Ward say no sirree on that Florida missed field goal in overtime. But that's what always Florida has seemed to do when they start going and we can't stop it. We'll get a little momentum and then we'll lose it. Florida will get the momentum back, and then it's over. I don't know how many times I've seen that. So I want to see our team weather the storm. Do you think our boys got what it takes? I mean, where does that come from, being able to weather the storm? What do you need? Is it from the coaches settling them down? Is it from the team? Is there a group of leaders? How do you weather the storm when you start having it pour down on you?
Well, I mean, Bobby, I mean, it always comes down to the players. You guys have to come together and say enough is enough. We're getting a tails kick, whether we winning or losing or whatever. You got to come to the point where you understand you can't quit right now. They may have had a big play, but you can't dwell on that play because it's over with. We got to go with what's next. We got to go with what we got to do to win this ball game. And to me, I really do think the Vols have a chance, against Florida, And right now, they have two young quarterbacks that I feel like that Florida's going to have that's going to play this weekend. I don't think they're going to have one quarterback to beat us because if they would have ended that way, they'd have been got rid of Felipe earlier and started this guy by now because everybody wanted to get rid of him a long time ago. So I think our defense is the factor this weekend. I think last weekend was a huge boost. I don't care that it was UTC, Chattanooga, whatever. They were football players. And if you go look at the whole college football ranks or whatever last week, you didn't see too many shutouts. And to this day, I still be telling people, no one talked about the Volunteers defense shutting out Chattanooga last week. You know, I realized that, and I'm like, wow, when you have someone shut out anybody, that either means that that team wasn't on that field at all for 60 minutes, and we somehow didn't let them score. But we know that didn't happen. Tennessee was backed up. They was on the end in the red zone 2 times. UTC, and we got turnovers. But now that we finally won a game, and of course, I don't care. Our fans, I love you guys to death. Love you to death. But you guys got to understand that this team is young, but they are not young like the way people think they are. They're young as they don't know how to win. But I think this first win has boosted their confidence, and I think it's going to Florida with that defense that we played. I don't know if it's because we got my kid named Pruitt back. He was the missing link of that defense, maybe. And I tell you this, guys, when it comes to defense, if you don't have all 11 pieces that you're used to having on that field, it's not going to work. I don't care if you plug in the number one recruit in the country with that defense, but if that one leader that you used to having not there, it's not going to work. But I think that the Vols this weekend is going to show the world that they are really the team that we thought they would have been. The first 2 games, they didn't show us what we thought we would be. The UTC game is what we thought we would have saw the first 2 weeks. Well, let's say, guess what? The season starts this weekend in SEC play. That's where it starts at. That's when you start realizing everybody gonna know if you're gonna really be the team that we saw the first 2 weeks, or you're gonna be the team that we saw last week. Now, if we go down there and put our foot in those Gators' throat and keep it there like we did last week against UTC, guess what? We're back up there to be talking about, guys. So your season is not over with yet. We got to go down there and take care of business, and it is time now. SEC play, it is time.
Well, I remember in 2001, and I played that locker room pregame speech by Fulmer, and I remember that Travis. We were able to run the ball, and Travis Stevens, he just ran all over the Gators, and I think that is the key to this game. If we can't run the ball, and I'm not talking about 2 or 3 yards, if we can't knock out, you know, 8, 9, 10 yard chunks on run plays, I don't think we come close to Florida. Do you think our offensive line has finally got it together and gelled enough to be able to run block? What do you think about Trey Smith and the boys on the offensive line? Are they going to be able to get Chandler and Tim Jordan and the crew going?
Well, I'll tell you this, Bobby. Even during my days when I played, the history it does not lie. The team that rushed the ball the best in this game always win this game. I think it may have been 1 or 2 games in the past 25 years that it didn't happen. But that was one of the biggest things that Coach Foreman talked when it came to the game plan, or the how you call it, the locks or things that we look for, and knowing that the Gators are good at it. Whoever won the rushing battle wins this game. And I'm hoping that Pruitt has instilled this in these kids' head that the team that runs the ball well will win this game. And we have a tough challenge ahead of us with our offensive line this weekend, because this defensive line that they're getting rid of, this front seven they're getting ready to play against, is a NFL caliber type of team. They have some kids that are going to get drafted in the NFL. And I promise you, when you put on the film and you see these kids running to the ball, how they're making plays, this is what you want your defense to look like. No one has really talked about this team defense, but Florida, they're good on defense. I don't care about their offense, but the team that creates the turnovers is going to win. And Florida does a good job of that. They did a good job last week. They should have lost last week. But guess what they didn't do? They didn't quit. They kept on coming because they know who they had coming up this week. And they have this game circled as a stat game. They think that they're going to blow the Vols out. And I hope that they don't do that. But I'm hoping that Pruitt has talked to these kids. Heck, I wish he would let Coach Fulmer preach to them and tell them the history of what's going on, what they have in store for them. Because the swamp will eat you alive, man. I'm telling you, this is one of the most loudest stadiums in the country. And if we don't come to play this weekend, yes, I can see us getting our tails beat by 21. Easy. But if we come with the energy that we had last week, I think this team has a chance to win this ball game. And I'm saying, when I say win it, Bobby, I'm not saying about 2, 3 points.
Hmm.
I'm saying blowout. Blowout. I really do think that we have the chance to do that finally. And I'm not judging it based on, just what they did against UTC. I'm basing on what the energy that they see that what it takes to actually win a ball game. They're not used to having that. They're not used to winning. When they finally see what it feels like to win, that's tough, man. I mean, it's the best feeling in the world when you taste a win.
I think what we need to do, Billy, I know you got Al Wilson's phone number. You need to call up your boy Al Dre and say, look here, you need to go down to Gainesville and do the pregame speech and the halftime speech and get in their butts and grab them by the face mask and get them in gear like he did against Auburn in the SEC championship game. Do you think you can get your boy to do that?
Hey, I mean, I know he would love to do that, but then I'll tell you this here now. I mean, maybe the pregame speech, but the halftime speech, I don't think you want Al Wilson in there for halftime. And I'm saying that for one reason, because if we're losing at halftime by, I say 3 points not bad, but if we're losing by touchdown or better, they're probably gonna have to get maybe the armed guard to come in to make sure he don't tear the whole stadium up. Because this man passion, man, for the Vols is unbelievable, man. I just wish you could hear him talk about it, man. He's on point with everything, and I can't even imagine what he thinks about what's going on now as far as if he go in there for halftime and he see them losing. So, nah, man, I don't think they're ready for that just yet, Bobby.
What was it that he said in the SEC championship against Auburn? He says, now we're going to go out there, and if I don't see it in your eyes, you're going to have to carry your, you know what, right back in this locker room. Did he say something like that?
That's exactly what he said, man. That's exactly, and that's Al, man. Al was one of those guys, man. And I'm hoping that they finally found some guys that can actually pull the team together and do exactly what you said. Grab them by the face mask. Tell them it's time to play ball, man. This is why you came to Tennessee to play teams like Florida. Get yourself ready for the SEC and let everybody know that you are really what we thought you were. I mean, you didn't come to Tennessee just to take on a jersey and a number. You came here to win ball games and get Tennessee back up to what they used to.
Well, we definitely need some leaders like Al Wilson on the team. I don't see it. I see a few of them that have the potential to be the leader like Al was. Of course, I don't think anybody will ever be that demonstrative and that intense. That's just a generational type player. But I just got a feeling, Billy. I don't know if it's the pizza I ate for lunch today. It was kind of greasy, but it was good. But I just got a feeling about this game. I really do. I don't know if it's Catfish is rubbing off on me and his trash talking the Gators. I'm listening to it too much, but I really do got a feeling, man.
Well, Bobby, hey, keep that feeling. Man, I got an itch in my hand because, hey, I got money on them with the bet now. So long as my hands are itching, I got a feeling it's going to happen. So Let's make it happen, baby.
That's right. Well, anyway, it's this Saturday noon game. I hate noon games. I despise them. I think they should be outlawed. We need to write our congressman, President Trump, the governor of Tennessee and Florida, or all the governors need to get some sort of pact together and say outlaw noon games. Move them back to 1 o'clock. That'd be better. And move the 3:30s back to 4:30s. I just hate these noon games. But I tell you what, I still got this feeling. So y'all know what's coming next. Thanks for tuning in. Go Vols. I'm going to have to agree with Catfish on this one, Billy. We're curb stomping Florida. I promise you that.
Yes, sir.